All right. This is Cactus Dave, by the way, and I want to hear some of your stories later on in this video, but essentially you are an expendable asset to your employer. That's how society works. And I feel like the quicker everyone understands that, I think the better situations are going to be for us as workers. There's so many problems right now in society with pay and with the job market. It's all trash. Can't find a job. They want to lowball you. But your employer, your situation that you're in right now, you might have good relationships with your coworkers, you might have good relationships with your bosses, but at the end of the day, everything boils down to the bottom line, and you are determined not by your work ethic, really. You're not determined by what you've done over the last 10 years or 5 years or 3 years. You are determined by what your organization can do to make more money and whether or not you are worth the cost. You are just a cost to your employer. I have a friend who had a job, went on maternity leave. While they were on maternity leave, they got canned. They got laid off. Now, there's no true way of proving that they were discriminated against or anything like that. But let's be honest, they're not working. They cost these people money. They're given these rights, but at the end of the day, the people looked at them and they didn't say, what kind of life situation are they in? What do they need right now? Is this just a season where we can show them grace? No, none whatsoever. They looked at this person and they said, they cost us too much money and they are not worth it. And that's how the world works. And it's interesting, I've seen a generational kind of divide in this. On one hand, people who are older in the earlier generation look at that and yeah, just work hard, do whatever, show your integrity, be the best that you can be, X, Y, and Z, yada, yada, yada. And then there's people who are my age, and I think they've kind of picked up on the fact that none of that actually matters at the end of the day. Because you can work so hard at your job, you can be such a productive individual, but on any given day, at any given moment, they can can you for any reason they want. And that's not good, man. It's interesting. We talk about integrity. You go to school growing up and talk about citizenship, and they give you your little, rewards for being a good student and always doing the right thing. And it's so funny how we get taught that in school and growing up, that's so important, but once you become an adult, that doesn't matter whatsoever. It's all just kind of a big lie, And this isn't just in your middle income type situations. I'm a huge basketball fan, and there's this guy, Luka Doncic, who, man, he gave everything to his organization. He's a basketball player, incredible player. He had felt, he started playing there when he was 18 years old. He's 25 now, turning 26 in a little bit, but man, he had given everything to this organization. He had bought a second home in Dallas, where he plays at for the Mavericks. And man, they looked at his contract, and he was going to be making $120 million more than a lot of other people, just because of the situation. He basically, if you're with a team, the team that drafts you can pay you more money than anybody else. It's a measure to keep people on teams, which is interesting. It's not really working out that way. And his contract's coming up soon, and they shipped him off, and everyone's why would they do that? Why would they do that? It all came down to the money. It all came down to the ownership saying, yeah, thank you for your service, but you're costing too much. We actually don't care about winning. We care about one thing, and that's the bottom line. And that's how society works. And it's just crazy to me. I look around at so many people who are overextending themselves and holding that social contract of working hard for their employer and, taking work home and yada, yada, yada. But then they get called into a meeting where the layoffs are happening and this person has 2 years seniority, they make $20,000 more than the next person a year, and the next person who makes less than them might show up to work late, might not brush their teeth, no calls and no shows, but the person who makes more money is going to get canned 10 out of 10 times just because it all comes down to the bottom line. That's all that matters in this society. And I think something's got to change with that. Like, I feel like people need to kind of wake up to the reality that, like, we have the power, Luckily, I'm in a situation where I feel it's good in my job, and I like my job and stuff like that. Pays well, I'm treated well, people in leadership seem okay, but I also, I'm not going to look at that situation, not for one day am I ever going to say, they'll take care of me. I will never, ever put my trust in anybody other than myself, essentially. Like, the only people who have job security are, tenured professors and self-employed people. Not like making money job security, but you can only really rely on yourself, essentially. So yeah, it's crazy to me. But the good news is if people start waking up to this, you can make the changes at some point. If enough people kind of wake up to this reality, the social contract that we make, we're like, I'm going to show up and give my all, and in hopes that this will lead to job security, and people, once people start waking up to that idea that that's all a crock of, we might be able to take a little bit of the power back, because it just seems like our world right now is just dominated by the employer, which they have all the money, and in this society, money is power. So here's my advice. Don't for 1 second think anybody has your back. And that's a sad way to live, but that's just kind of the inconvenient truth of the whole situation. The people who have your back are your kids, are your family, and your loved ones. So if you have the decision to make between working 73 hours for 40 hours of pay this week, or going to your kid's basketball game, I feel like the decision's easy. Because at the end of the day, that doesn't get you anything. So yeah, this is a little bit of a downer episode, but I'm just frustrated, man. I feel like people are being taken advantage of left and right, and that's the stuff that really pisses me off. So, have you been canned in a situation where you gave it your all? Have you learned this lesson? Leave a comment, leave a like if this resonates with you. And what do we do next? Call into the Cactus Dave hotline. I'll feature your voicemail in a future video. 619-800-5622. I want to hear, are people experiencing the same things that I am? Because I feel like I see it for what it is, but people are still numb to the fact that, they don't actually care about you like they say they do. You get your pizza party as a employee appreciation thing once a year. So yeah, take care of yourselves, man. It's not worth it to overextend yourself for someone who could tell you, yeah, you're canned tomorrow. And if that does happen, try not to attach your own sense of self-worth to your job. That's the thing too. You get too caught up in your job, it becomes your identity, and then they take that away and you start spiraling. I know if I got fired at the end of the day, I can go home to my kid, I can hang out with my friends, I can hug my wife and know that I'm loved and I'm worth it. And that's what we're all really, really hoping for, man. So yeah, leave me a voicemail. Leave me a comment. Tell you what your experience is. And how do we change this, man? How do we change this? All right. Take care of yourselves. Protect yourselves. Peace.